Join nearly 1,400 entrepreneurs and students at the 2013 Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization National Conference in Chicago, October 31st through November 2nd. Visit ceo.org for more information. That's c-e-o.org.
This is Michael Lukes from the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, joined here with Amir Homayoun Rafizadeh of Momentum Strategic Advisors and 678 Partners, LLC. Amir, thanks a lot for joining me.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently working on.
I suppose the best way to describe what I'm currently doing is that I head up the function of business intelligence for a consulting firm here in Chicago. For the last 2 decades, the two skill sets of mine could be wrapped around either in the concept of advanced business development or business intelligence. I've got some experience in the financial services, been around that for a decade and a half. Been in pharmaceuticals for about 4 years and change, and the rest of it has kind of been focused on consulting on, as I mentioned, both advanced business development and business intelligence. But I'm based here in Chicago right now, and helping the consulting company Momentum Strategic Advisors, as you mentioned it.
And have you always been interested in business and entrepreneurship?
I have been, yes. I started at the age of 12. My mother used to run a pharmaceutical company back in Iran, which is where I'm originally from. And during the summers, I used to kind of work in the company on a variety of matters, whether it was on the manufacturing side, did some work on finance components, learned about sales and marketing from a very young age. So kind of been, learning from family members, and was kind of lucky enough to be surrounded by some very smart and experienced entrepreneurs and business owners. So kind of been learning from everybody around me.
On behalf of CEO, I want to thank you for speaking at the 2013 CEO National Conference in Chicago. What will you be speaking about?
The title that I have for my presentation sounds pretty interesting on the outside, and I decided on talking about what I would call Red Bulling your network. And the reason why I came up with that concept was that I'm a big believer in any vertical and industry that you decide to work with. You basically have to have a very good network, and there's good ways of building a network, and there are unsuccessful ways of building your network. So I'm pretty excited to be speaking at the CEO National Conference this year, and I'm hoping to give students a little bit of techniques and ways that I've found to be successful in my career in ways of building a network around you that can come and assist you in the time of need.
So what are some of the things for a young entrepreneur that they could end up gaining from networking?
I think, when I look back, I finished my undergrad degree back in 1993, and I suppose I'm giving away my age by telling you when I finished my undergrad. And I look at how the world has changed from 1993 to now, 2013. Back then, you didn't really have a lot of resources. Even if you went to business school or was in a business undergrad degree, to be able to look sources up and find, let's say, the 5, 10 most successful people in business and learn about what made them successful. Obviously, with the provision of information out there on the internet and social media and every other source, you can now, if you're graduating now, you can, at your fingertips have information that looks at either by industry, by individual, to see who's been successful and why. And you can learn so much more now than you can back in my time. And I think it's all about trying to learn from successful people, hopefully not make too many mistakes. And if you're going to make mistakes, hopefully you're learning from those mistakes. So I think young entrepreneurs have so much more advantage than us older folks that, graduated a long time ago. So that would be my best answer.
What are a couple of ways that a current or aspiring entrepreneur can start to build a valuable network?
That's a great question. I think, in terms of a couple of ways that come to mind, I would suggest that, you first start to look around your existing business, depending on which industry and which vertical you are. You have to really understand synergistic industries close to you. So I'll use financial services as an example. If you're building a financial services company, some synergistic industries could be folks in the tax, in the legal, in the money management, or the property and casualty environment that you can start to think about either strategically partnering with them or working with them in some sort of a strategic partnership form where they could be kind of forwarding business to you. So it's essential in terms of identifying these pretty earlier on. There are other folks that would talk about centers of influence. You need to understand who some of these key centers of influence are out there. So when the time comes, you either you could sign up deals and agreements with these folks, or they could be, sources of referrals for you for your business. So it's important to understand those and identify those earlier on. A lot of this can also be very strategic in nature. I mean, if you don't know what you're pointing at and what you're aiming at, it becomes difficult to identify these folks. So a little bit of research is required to identify these businesses, these individuals, and these groups, and trying to kind of build relationships with them to help you grow your business and also strengthen your network.
You're involved with a lot of different ventures and organizations, including philanthropic organizations. Why are you passionate about giving back?
I think in terms of when I look back at my career, I was fortunate enough to have very good mentors, successful individuals who gave back to the community. So partly I do that because I learned from them that it's actually a very good thing to do. Partly because I served for about 4 years in one of the pharmaceutical companies, and I've dealt with a lot of folks around the world that have issues from all kinds of deadly diseases, and seeing them suffer was something that made me extremely uncomfortable, and I kind of wanted to do what I could to help. And I think when you look back at what the world is going through right now, I think just giving back is something good that everybody has to do. We get to a point in our careers where we become successful. People start to look up to you, and I think it's important that if you were given the opportunity to do good things, you should definitely take those on and help others, because in this environment, and certainly with what the globe is going through, everyone starts to see that, and if we're all helping each other, the world will be a much, much better place.
What are you most looking forward to at the 2013 CEO National Conference?
There's a couple of things, actually. One is that both of my parents were in the educational field, so the opportunity to be with a number of students out there is something I'm really looking forward to. As you know, I kind of asked some speakers to come and kind of share their wisdom and experience at the conference. I'm looking forward to maybe hearing some of their sessions. And generally speaking, I'm obviously doing a session myself on Red Bull and Your Network, so I'm looking forward to kind of share some of my wisdom with the students, and I suppose, being somebody in the network arena, meeting some other smart and very successful students. I think from a networking standpoint, it would be very good to meet some of these folks. So I'm really excited about that.
We're glad to have you. What's your best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs?
I think, obviously we can't go back in time, but I mentioned briefly earlier on that the availability of information now is just mind-blowing. I mean, with where technology is going, and you look back in terms of some of the inventions that are happening, I think we're on the verge of, I'd say, almost the second industrial revolution, with where biotech is going, all these oil fields that they're discovering. There's so many exciting technologies and breakthroughs that are coming through. I think in the next 7 to 10 years, if I was a young entrepreneur, I would really focus on solving what I would call specific problems in their area of expertise. If you don't have an area of expertise, I would suggest specializing in one or two areas. And in my experience, I see a lot of folks worry about connections and fundraising and things like that. And I've always told some of the students that I mentor on the outside that if you focus on solving problems, the connections and the money will always come. So if I was a young entrepreneur, I'd learn the 5 or 10 very successful people in their industry or in, let's call them close industries to your business as best as you can. Learn what made them successful. Even look at some of the failures that they've had and try to kind of make sure you don't duplicate those failures. And you've got so much exciting things coming down the pipe, and you're going to be witnessing one of the biggest revolutions that we've seen, in our time. So it's a very exciting time for young entrepreneurs.
Well, I want to personally thank you for your help with CEO, for being a speaker at this year's conference and helping us get those speakers. We really appreciate your help.
Not a problem. It was my pleasure, and it's going to be a fantastic conference for sure.
Hey, thanks again, and you can follow Amir at WAdvisor on Twitter as well. Amir, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you at the CEO National Conference.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks for your time, Michael.